Alright, YouTube, it's a surprise video. I decided that I'm going to do another About Me kind of video so you guys can get to know me a little bit more. Plus, I didn't want to kind of do it instead of one of the other videos, and so I'm doing an extra one. So this documentary just came out on Netflix today. I have started watching it. It's a series, so it's like, I think a 9-part series, about an hour long each, called The Innocence Files, and it's about the New York Innocence Project. So, little known fact is not all of the Innocence Projects are one being. None of them are. So they're all separate entities that work under the name of the Innocence Project. But they're not at all connected. They do work together, and they do a lot of work together. A lot of times people will get letters from one state and send it to the other state. I intern at the Innocence Project of Florida, and so I just want to kind of show you guys what I do through the trailer for the Innocence File, and then also go through one of these, which is a story about a person wrongfully convicted, and learn his story. So I feel like this is a good time to learn other people's stories. I haven't seen I've seen this because I've started watching it, but I haven't seen the story video yet. So I want to show you guys this. Let's go.
The reason I'm writing is to ask, can you help me?
I am serving a 40 to 60 year sentence. As God is my witness, I am not guilty.
That was Barry Scheck. He was the founder of co-founder. Him and another guy founded it, of the New York Innocence Project. I think the other guy's name is Peter Newfield.
We get flooded with letters from all over the country. They're human beings who are claiming to be wrongly convicted.
We realized that there were so many things wrong with this system. So we started the Innocence Project.
The oath is to seek justice. For some people, justice has meant maximizing charges, years, and convictions.
28 years? My brother thought nobody's gonna hear me. It's like the coffin is closed.
This case had no DNA, no fingerprints, no gunshot residue.
I became outraged at how thin the evidence was.
20 years.
I think a lot of times in society we look at, well, this person was convicted, so obviously they did it. And then sometimes you start reading the file about it, and it's like, really, how did this person get convicted? I think that happens a lot.
No gunshot residue.
I became outraged at how thin the evidence was.
20 years passed after I was convicted.
Almost 28 years, man. This is more than half of my life.
Unfortunately, the mentality among too many judges, too many district attorneys, is the ends justify the means.
If they're going to ever find the proof that I didn't commit this crime.
They withheld evidence on purpose to get a conviction, period.
If we find that the client is innocent, we don't stop until we win.
I never thought this day would come. But it's coming. It's coming home.
I went to prison at the age of 18, and I didn't see the streets until the age of 46.
When I got out of jail, I took my shoes off and just walked around the yard. 12 years, I haven't touched no grass.
I wonder, what would have happened if my incarceration wouldn't be part of my story.
I wouldn't do this job if I didn't think it could be fixed.
I wanted him to know there was someone out there that was fighting for him.
I think the best thing that a lawyer can do with their license is get an innocent guy out of prison.
Definitely worth the watch so far. I've watched it I've watched the first 3 episodes. It's great, super good. And now we are going to learn about John Bunn. He was exonerated after 27 years of fighting for his freedom. He says the power of reading saved him. Now he's building libraries and prisons. Very noble. Let's get it.
My name is John Bunn. I was recently exonerated after 27 years for being accused and convicted of a crime I had no knowledge of, I had nothing to do with. I was 14 years old.
I'm an innocent man, Your Honor, and I have always been an innocent man, Your Honor.
One morning I was having breakfast and we had got a bang on our door, and it was a gang of police. They rushed into my home, and they started saying I was involved in a fight and a robbery, and they wanted to take me down to the police station for questioning.
August 13th, 1991.
Could you imagine being 14 and being taken to a police station to be questioned?
Crown Heights, Brooklyn. 2 off-duty correction officers were ambushed.
Police say the 2 gunmen forced the officers from their car, shot them, and then stole the car.
They took me down to 77 Precinct. The interrogation was actually led by a rogue detective by the name of Louis Garcella, and he was threatening me, telling me that I was never coming home if I wouldn't tell him what he wanted to know. He put me in a lineup with grown men. He made me sit down and hold a number up, and a couple minutes later he came back and told me it was my lucky day that I got picked. I woke up the next day thinking it was a dream. That it was.
Holy crap. At 14?
Like I was gonna be home, that it wasn't real. This is where they say that the correctional officer was shot and killed.
The case was worked by the now disgraced NYPD detective, Louis Garcella.
More than a dozen people whose cases were handled by the detective have been exonerated because of tainted evidence, misleading testimony, or forced confessions.
This happened like 4 in the morning. I was in my house sleeping at the time when it happened. The only time I got a chance to speak was before sentencing, and I spoke to the victim's family, and I explained that it's a tragedy if somebody loses their life or get hurt, but I wasn't the one that committed the crime. They wound up sentencing me to 20 years to life. I was a kid, I was a baby. When they sent me to prison, that was like one of the most scariest feelings I ever experienced. And I didn't know how to read. I wanted to communicate with my mother, and I just wanted to tell her how I felt. And that motivated me. I started with like dictionaries and children's books. By the time I was 17, they was also sending me to state prison. So I got my GED and I graduated to state prison.
After prosecutors decided not to retry his case. So a lot of times what happens is somebody can get exonerated, and what that means is their charge or their case, their conviction is overturned. At that point, the prosecutors have a choice of whether or not they want to try to convict again if they believe they have the evidence, or they can just decide not to charge, and that's the end of the story. 70 of the detectives in the 80s and 90s have been flagged for review. Jeez. Crooked.
We have some more boxes. New boxes came today.
Books. We got a whole bunch of books.
John Bunn is like a nephew to me. When he came out of prison, he wanted to start a book drive.
Where did he work?
Is like a nephew to me. When he came out of prison, he wanted to start a book drive. So what I did was offer my home to him.
Nice. Reading changed my life. Reading changed my mentality as a person. I wrote my mother one day and I said, they can lock my body, but they can't trap my mind. I've been in there where I felt trapped without a voice for so long, but the power of reading can take my imagination and take me to anywhere in this universe, and I don't feel like I'm trapped anymore. In order for me to push forward, I dedicated myself to a literacy program, which I started called A Voice for Unheard. Psychology, physical therapy. Just look at the type of books that we got.
John started a library on Rikers Island in the prison, and he gave over 20,000 books.
Collecting books for the inmates. John speaks at youth detention centers. Okay, that's good.
Good morning, class. How y'all doing? I really want to travel all over the country and speak to the kids and tell them my story so they can learn from me if they can in any kind of way possible, and that's like my way of giving back. Can anybody tell me what peer pressure is? What's peer pressure? I consider myself a warrior. I don't consider myself weak. I feel like I can adjust to almost any circumstances after I done been through what I've been through and I could survive it. Let's get a group hug, y'all. One group hug. When I go in them classrooms, when I'm with them babies right now, I'm a symbol of leadership to them. There's no greater feeling than me feeling like I'm existing for a purpose, and this is what gives my life purpose right now. Through my adversity and through my misery, I think like God has presented me with a blessing. So through my nightmare, I usually say I found my dream.
Brooklyn DA's office told CNN that prosecutors have not found that it's broke any laws that can be prosecuted today, and that the statute of limitations has expired for any potential crimes. Gets away with scot-free. CNN's attempt to reach were not immediately successful, but he told the Daily News in 2018 that he has done absolutely nothing. Sure you haven't. Maybe in your mind you haven't. Maybe in your mind you haven't. People think, well, he's out, you know, what harm is there now? I mean, people go through a lot when they're in prison. I mean, I've never been, but I've talked to people who have, and they go through a lot. They change mentally, they change physically, they change in every way, and not always for the best. And prison ages you. Prison ages you a lot, and it's not good for these people, especially for the wrongfully convicted. This is just a little peek into what I kind of do on when I go to work and what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. And anyways, and let me know if you want to hear more of these stories, and we can kind of do like a story time. Once or twice a week, do another story of another innocent man or woman and go from there. Anyways, until next time, YouTube, smile like you mean it from the Bushy Beard.